and we have the end goal in sight. It makes things a lot easier. So we're focused here and step by step. So that is me, Jane Scanlan, and this is my big sister.
Hello.
This is Kate Scanlan, who has been an inspiration to me all my little life, and especially in your career, because you truly haven't settled. You have been in the creative industry, ever since coming out of university, which you studied dance at as well. So we're going to go into I'm going to let Kate introduce herself, and then we've got some really good questions which will help you see her journey, but also help you with your own journey. Okay, introduce yourself, my love.
Okay, I seem to have lost you. 1 second. Here we go. Okay, you're back. Hi, I'm Kate Scanlan. As Jane said, I'm her sister. I run my own business called Scanners Inc. And I've been working in the creative industry for 20 years this year, which is kind of mad. But I think if I look at it, I probably have actually been working in the creative industries longer, because when I was a teenager, I did this, I think it's called CCPR Sports Leaders Award, and I did my little qualification through teaching dance in the primary school that I used to go to, and then I suppose I kept doing teaching little bits of dance when I was a teenager, but then really for 20 years. So Scanners Inc. Has been going since 2012, and I started it really to be to give myself a bit of confidence. I think after I left Breaking Convention, I was a bit nervous about being on my own and not having a big organisation behind me. So having a name, having a brand made me feel more confident. And I did have a company before that I'd actually incorporated called Dance 360, and I had this vision of having dance festivals all around the world, hence the 360 bit. And I was really passionate about the idea of the circle, and in hip hop, the power of the circle. And I was kind of amazing. But then I just sort of felt that it was too limiting, because I didn't just want to do dance anymore. I wanted to work really cross art. So I couldn't get Art 360, Culture 360, Event 3. I couldn't get any of those names. I just thought, okay, what could I do? So I decided I would pick one of my nicknames, and I had two nicknames. One was Scandalous. And I did think Scandalous Productions had a good ring to it, but I thought I might not get Arts Council funding. And so on a tour in Bradford, actually, with Breaking Convention, we were talking about I really wanted to have a blog, and I was like, maybe I'll call it Scanners. And someone said, oh, you should call it Scanners Inc., like INK, because it's Scanners writing. And it was Jane actually that told me a couple of years later, when I was doing it for real, that I should actually not call it INK, because people thought it was a tattoo parlour. So it became Scanners Inc. INC. And basically Jane asked a question, who do I help? And that sort of made me think a bit, really, because I thought, I don't know, who do I help? What do I do? I mean, I do help creatives, producers and artists to accelerate their career, do their creative business better through my Sofa Sessions program. And then through my events, I was like, really, who do I help? I kind of make events, put out there that I want people to come together and be unified and have a great time. So I guess I help people have fun.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You help people have fun.
So if someone has a brilliant business model out there for making people have fun, let me know.
Well, I think you've got it. So, the events that you have put on, obviously I've been to a lot of them. But what I love about them is that it's cross-cultural, cross-sex, cross-age. It's across the absolute board. And it doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are. Well, sometimes how young you are, depending on just the time of day. But it really doesn't matter your background or anything about you, as long as you're there just to have fun and enjoy some music and enjoy some dancing and enjoy some arts. And I've met, 70, 80-year-olds at your events at the same time as I'm dancing with 20-year-olds, or, my little 7-year-old.
Yeah. Well, that is
So,
a part of it. I think it's really important. And actually, one of the inspirations for this, and you may remember this very differently to me, because obviously we're sisters, but for me, when it was the 80s and we used to go out, in my mind, we used to go out a lot in the daytime and go and discover things. So I remember going to Covent Garden and seeing all the B-boys and the poppers and people spinning on their heads. And that must have been around, I don't know, 83, 84, because we were young, but we were old enough to remember. So I reckon I was probably about 7, you were about 4 or 5 maybe. So I remember that, and then I remember seeing these weird people waving hankies around, and Mum was like, oh, they're Morris dancers.
yeah, I remember the old Morris dancers. You don't see them anymore.
No, I know.
Let's bring them back.
Well, they are still there, Jane. Folk
I know.
Morris dancing and hip hop. But, and I remember like poets and like Speaker's Corner and all this kind of stuff. And I think that's why my events reflect that, because back then in the 80s, like fashion was about self-expression. Everything seemed to be just stumble upon things in the street and everybody just get on with their thing. And I think we're missing that now. We're all in our lanes and we're kind of going, and there's no space really for just to hang out and see what might happen. So I think really, do you remember that from our childhood?
Yeah, I do. And going to like the Polka Theatre and stuff like that to see different performances, and intense. Like, I don't know where it was, but I remember being with the Armours and us, and being in like a big kind of circus top, but it was for Nancy the Spider or something like. Do you remember that? Yeah. So we went to cultural. We did. We went to cultural shows, and the Lambeth County Fair wasn't like it is nowadays. It was a proper country fair where all the animals would come and all the rest of it, wasn't it? And you'd see all the tractors and stuff like that. Yeah, and all the hippies. Now it's a massive fairground place, but
massive music artists like Kamasi Washington and stuff. Now it's big.
Yeah. We saw cows and sheep there. But yeah, I totally remember that.
Okay, cool. So that has been a big influence, really, I guess, on the sort of stuff I've done since I started doing my own stuff, and not working for big companies.
And what I think is like one of the things I think is really inspirational about you is that you went to university, you chose a subject that you liked, not a subject that you thought would get you money, or that you should get, you could have more job opportunities. You went and you did dance because you loved dance. Yeah.
I mean, I've never had a plan, really.
No, but you have.
Just to do what I love.
To do what you love. And that's what I help teach people, and you're a big inspiration for that, because, you went to dance. I remember you coming out of university and various adults always going, what office job are you going to go? Look, Tesco's, Marks and Spencer's, and all of these other companies do really good graduate schemes. And you'd be like, no, no.
I know. I bless them though, because they did think, how the hell did you even get a degree in dance for the first thing? And then how the hell do you ever make any money? How can you have a career? And to be honest, I didn't really know how I was going to have a career. And I certainly didn't know that the things that I do now, I could do. Like, I had absolutely no idea that I would go around the world through my career. Like, I have traveled so widely and met the most incredible people, had all these opportunities. And even in my degree, it was quite good, because you had a strand that kind of went all the way through called something like professional studies. I can't really remember what it was called. It's a very long time ago. But basically, you learn about all the careers in dance, the traditional careers. So be a dancer, go into dance management, administration, I think it was called back then, not even dance management, education and community. And I kind of went the education and community route, and started my career then very amazingly with an opportunity at Sadler's Wells as it was about to reopen in 1998, working in the community and education department. And it was amazing. And I basically yo-yoed back and forth from Sadler's Wells in various guises until like 2012. And it literally is my spiritual home in when you think about theatre. I could probably walk around that place blindfolded and know how to get everywhere. But I didn't really know that there was that I could do what I do now. I didn't know that existed. So I guess I didn't really have a plan. I just, when I stopped enjoying myself or stopped learning or thought I'm done, I would just leave or just quit. And I've always been like that. And it's not necessarily something I advise to other people, because it does then leave you in a point where you quit your job, you've got no income, you don't really know what you're doing. But at the same time, I always did other things on the side. Like I taught Pilates, I taught aerobics, I taught, dance. So I would have a full-time job and I'd have these other things on the side, little projects and stuff. So I guess I was always a bit like a freelance or sole trader on the side of having jobs.
Yeah, definitely. I remember at one point you may have had like 6 different sort of jobs going at the same time.
Well, yeah. I mean, when I was at Breaking Convention in the early days, I was working at Sadler's Wells, and then just before the first festival, I left Sadler's Wells, and I was like, oh God, please, Alistair Spalding, let me still do Breaking Convention. He was like, yeah, cool. So then I just did it as a freelancer. I mean, I didn't earn money. I mean, being real, we did it for the love. We really did do it for the love back then. And so I got a job at Rombear Dance Company in 2005 as Director of Education. And I remember Alice just sort of saying, well, I mean, we'd love you to stay at Breaking Convention, but how are you going to manage a full-time job and Breaking Convention? I was like, leave it to me. And I literally did it for 2 years, where I worked 8:30 to 5:30, I think, every day at Rombear. And then in my evenings, weekends, in holidays, I did Breaking Convention. And I did it and I loved it. And it was, it was an easy choice to make. But obviously it did get a bit much, and I did have to make a decision after 2 years of working that hard. But I think when you really love something and you want to do it, you make a choice and then you deal with the consequences, which was a lot of hard work.
Yes. Okay, so we have kind of covered the first question of how did you start on this path? Do you want to add to that, or are you cool with?
I think the only thing I would add maybe is that a lot of people now look at people like me and think, oh my God, they've got it made, they're doing all these big things, and I would say, I'm just putting my slippers on, my feet got a bit cold. I have always had big ideas. I don't have small ideas. I never have small ideas. And I remember Michelle at Breaking Convention, after I left Breaking Convention, I was like, Shell, this idea, and how am I going to make it happen? And she was like, that's a gold level, Kate. Perhaps you should scale it down and do a bronze level to start with. And I was like, oh, okay. And actually it was really good advice, because I have then learned to take an idea and then to scale it down if I can't do the big one, or, if it needs to be made smaller without losing the integrity of it. But mostly I just have to pause it for a few years because I need to do it the scale I want to do it, which is usually quite big. But, when you're starting out, I think or maybe this is getting onto one of your later questions, but I think when you're starting out, you just have to follow your heart, I would say, and just get involved in as many things. And, if you're a choreographer, you have to make as much work as possible. You have to just get work out there. And I think it's the same, if you're an artist working in education context, again, you've got to work with as many different companies, artists. What I did, I worked in schools, in colleges, teaching A-levels, for dance companies, for venues. I worked on festivals. I literally got myself involved in everything. I remember once at Sadler's Wells, Trisha Brown, rest in peace, she's passed away now, but Trisha Brown was coming to London. If you don't know Trisha Brown, she's an incredible contemporary dance choreographer, and she did this really beautiful work that I personally really loved. And she was coming to London, and there was no one really in the programming team that was available because it was a bank holiday weekend, so I wasn't in the programming team. So I said, I'll go and meet her. And I was like, why would you give up your bank holiday weekend to do something that's not even your job? But I really love Trisha Brown. And I had this whole story. I won't tell it now because it's a long one. But we just had this brilliant time. And for the rest of her trip, I just get these phone calls every day like, hi, Kate, it's Trisha. I was like, oh, hi, Trisha. And she'd be like ringing me out, can I have a massage and all this stuff. But she was so cool. And again, it's not something you'd ever put on your CV, but it was a really lovely experience that gave me a sense of another bit of the world that I was working in, artist pickups, artist liaison. And so I just say, get involved in everything.
Yeah, and it's very much as myself and other coaches teach, that if you want to work with people, hang out with them. If you want to upgrade, you just go and hang out with them. Find a way. And you did that subconsciously. You were just doing that. You knew the names, you knew the people you liked, so you would just go hang out with them for free or paid or whatever. But it's building your network, isn't it? And
I mean, it
yourself.
is. I didn't really realise that. I remember
subconscious.
To Mikhail Baryshnikov, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, Kate, what are you doing? Sitting down with him in the cafe?" And I was like, well, honestly, I just really love the show, and I just really wanted to talk to him. And like Mikhail Baryshnikov, like incredible Russian ballet dancer, and now doing a lot in contemporary dance. And I did ask him politely if I could just have a moment to chat to him. But I really just wanted to talk to him about his work and the impact it had on me. And it wasn't a long conversation. I was like, thank you very much for just giving me some time. Enjoy your day. And I walked off. But everyone else was like, you are insane. But I think it's really important to remember that people are people. They are like you. They just got to a place that you put them on a pedestal. They are incredible. People. So you have to also be respectful because of who they are, they get approached by a load of people and they might not want to talk to you, and that's cool. But you shouldn't be weird around them. And I always think, like, any celebrities I work with or I'm around, you just got to kind of ignore that bit of it and just be really cool with them, because they're just like normal people. And I always say to anyone that works with me, talk to people every day in the street. So random strangers, talk to at least a random stranger a day. I mean, I talk to random strangers all the time. I really enjoy it, but it's actually really, really good practice for your career, because if you're used to talking to random people, you're used to just having conversations with people you don't know, which is really important. But usually when you strike up a conversation on the bus, in a taxi, on the tube, someone will say, what do you do? And you have to say, what do you do? And actually, we're usually really rubbish at saying what we do. And it's really good practice. And then you get to know, or you get to see that person's really excited. Or actually, God damn it, that person works in my sector or works in a sector that can influence. And then you can like tweak, and you can, you can change what you're saying, because you can see that they're liking what you're saying. So you can give them a business card or whatever. Or you can go, this conversation needs to be shut down. They're not interested. I'm boring them. And then you can move on. But, do talk to people.
Yeah, definitely good advice, because that helps you in all areas of your life, not just your business, but also your personal relationships, because you're more open to having conversations.
Totally.
Yeah. Okay, so what's the one question people always seem to ask you?
Yeah, this is a hard one, because people ask me. I suppose there's two things. One is, where do you get your energy from?
Yeah.
And two is probably how. How do you? And then insert raise money, make a festival, influence people, da, da, da. But I think, people are always like, oh, how come you've got so much energy? Or like, going, and how do you keep doing it? My lodger is always like, can I have a blood transfusion, please? Because I think I need some of your blood in my body. Because I don't have anywhere near the energy that you have. I haven't given her any of my blood, just so you know. But I think when you love what you do, and also when the buck stops with you, when it is your business, you can't go, I can't really be bothered. You have to find a way. You've got to find the energy. You've got to find the way to make it happen. And I think a few years ago, I was talking about this actually on Monday night. I was on an Instagram live with somebody, and I was talking about, you know how there's SMART goals, you know, smart, specific, measurable,
Yeah.
you know, and you can set those, you can look at setting goals using those things so that you are more likely to achieve your goals, basically. They're
Yeah.
realistic. And I'd read this thing where there were SMARTY goals. And so they add in an I and an E. And the I was inspirational and the E was emotional. So the inspirational was that you have to be inspired by your goal. And then the E is you have to be emotionally connected to your goal. So that doesn't mean like, I'm really happy, I'm really sad. But it means you're like emotionally, you're like invested in it. And I think if you nail those two things, if you're doing something in your creative business or in your business that inspires you and that you're emotionally connected to, then you will get the energy, you will find ways, you'll reinvent whatever it is, the system or whatever, to find the energy to keep going, because it is relentless and you have to just find a way. And then the how-to one, people ask me, you know, I guess the sofa sessions thing, I've gone into that in quite a big way now. But you know, how do you raise money? How do you start? How do you, and I guess that's the whole point of sofa sessions. It's kind of like giving some tools to you, but it's not saying this is how you do it. You have to do it this way, because actually you don't have to do it the way that I do it. And the way that I do it, I've built up from 20 years of my experiences working in venues, working in corporate companies and commercial companies, working for myself. And you know, you find your own way of doing it, but there's like always a foundation of knowledge that, you know, in every sector, the foundation of how you do things. And so I guess a lot of people ask me about the how you do things. And this week we've been talking a lot about how do you do GDPR and the new data. And that is confusing because obviously I'm not a legal expert, but anyway.
Yes.
You know, you have to keep learning. So yeah, I guess they're the two things. Where do you get your energy from and how do I do ...
So you've mentioned sofa sessions, and I've put a tag in the thing underneath on Facebook for the time, because put in the link for sofa sessions, because sofa sessions is like creative business coaching, you know, almost, isn't it? It is. So you go into detail about what events.
It's about everything. It's so we do things like how to find out your why and your purpose, how to articulate that, how to network, how to influence promoters, how to do international touring, how to fundraise, how to develop your audience, all those kind of things that, you know, all the building blocks that you need to be able to run a successful business. And a lot about mindset, actually. I think the mindset is the bit that you look at before you do the kind of technical stuff in some ways. And it's called sofa sessions because I started it by meeting people 6 years ago in the BFI bar on a sofa with a cup of tea and a piece of cake, and we met once a month and we were having these sofa sessions. So it's informal knowledge and networking sessions, really, but it's creative business coaching.
Yes. So put a link in underneath the video on Facebook for how they can kind of connect to you and get involved in sofa sessions.
I will. We're just about to relaunch it, actually. So we're relaunching in the next month, if I can do all the work in time, with a kind of new sort of 2-stage approach. So there'll be 2 groups now. So there's I'm calling it Skill But Stuck. So people that have been in the sector for sort of 5+ years, and they've got their aesthetic of whatever it is they do, and they're kind of building a reputation. People know who they are, but they're kind of stuck. Like, how do they shift to the next level? And then the other group is box fresh, like a nice clean pair of trainers. So it's for the really, you know, fresh into the industry. They might be just about to graduate. They might not have gone to university. Might be just doing it themselves. And so it's more about sort of how do you establish yourself. So but I will be launching that in the next month, so I'll put some information up.
Wicked. And what is your mission in life? Hello, Carol. Hello, Talita as well, who are watching right now, and Roy.
Hi, everyone. What is my mission in life?
Yeah, what's your mission in life, Kate?
I think it's to make the world a better place, quite frankly.
Yes, I want to sing Michael Jackson now.
In
In a better place.
I think it's really important that in amongst all the like challenge in the world and and the pace and the speed of the world now, that there are moments in it when we stop and we enjoy and we celebrate together, and those moments of unity, I think they're really, really, really important. I think my other mission is around supporting artists that I love and respect, and that's both by giving them great work, but it's also by sort of helping them, nurturing them, and letting them go off and do their thing. And it's brilliant when you see people that you've worked with, even in the smallest ways, like Vogue. I think it was a Vogue. Somebody just did a feature on a young dancer, and I remember the first time I saw her, she auditioned for Breaking Convention. I think she was like 6 or 7, and she was like.
Wow.
So dynamic, and she's 16 now, and she was so small, and I was like, where do you get your energy from? And she was like, chocolate croissants, and it just really made me laugh. I put it on Facebook this week actually, and now she's been in Matilda, the West End musicals, and she's done all this stuff, and she's been in different competitions, and I think there's lots of other artists that I've worked with, and I've got them funding, or I've helped them position themselves, and then you're seeing them and they're flying, and it's just really brilliant to see people succeeding, and it's great.
Yeah, it's the ripple effect, isn't it?
Yeah, it
helping.
And nobody knows half of the people that you've had an impact on, and sometimes you don't even know that you've impacted people, and that's a really special thing, I think, because it's really nice when someone says, oh, thank you, Kate, you really, really helped me, this was amazing. And it's like a public declaration, like, oh, wow, it's really touching. But actually, you're not doing it for the thanks. It's lovely when it comes, but, there's so many other people. I got an email today from someone, and he's like, I love your event, The Bridge. I'm like, I can't even believe he's even heard of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think, so I think, if you're doing it for getting the praise and being like, yeah, I did this, I think it takes on another kind of thing. But if you're doing it to help people and uplift people and skill people, and then let them go, and not be about, oh, I helped them in 1984, I helped that person. You know what I mean? I think for me anyway, I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that. I know the role I've played in things, and that's cool.
Yeah, and you're right in saying you don't know who you have inspired. I remember just 2 years ago when I started running on the school run, a mum who didn't even go to the same school as me, she would see me in the morning, and after 3 months she stopped me and said, congratulations, well done, I've been watching you, and I really feel like I need to get my trainers out. And I'm like, oh, we'll only do it like when you're ready to do it. Anyway, she did. She got her trainers out and she started running, and she lost 3 stone.
Oh,
I didn't even know. I still don't know the lady's name, but we'd always like, hi.
Oh,
and
wow.
Yeah. So you just never know who you could inspire. What have you learnt that you wish everybody knew?
Oh, this is a good question. Don't compare yourself to other people, and do you. That is it. I've spent my whole entire life comparing myself to other people, and it's really, really in the last 5 or so years, maybe a little bit longer, that I haven't done that. And I've realised that there's that thing about nobody in the world has the collection of experiences that I have, nobody, and so therefore only me will think of things in the way that I think of them, and so that means there's a place for them. And I remember, I think it was you actually, you were like, Kate, everyone's having ideas around the world, and someone else is having your ideas right now. I remember at the time thinking, yeah, right, they're not, of course they are. But the thing is, no one is going to make them exactly like you.
Yeah.
And also, it's only an idea until you put it into action. So you have to put it into action. But I think this kind of comparative behavior, like compare yourself to everybody else, it's really, really crippling, and it can really stop you from doing things. And even now I have to sometimes check myself, because I'm like, how did they get all those gigs for the summer? I haven't got anything. I haven't got and you can really, really compare yourself to other people. You have no idea the struggle that anyone else is going through. Mm-hmm. Nobody knows what I've done to get to the point that I've got to, or how hard you have to work. I shared a post on Instagram yesterday by I Am Sarok, who's from Sons of Noise, and he was just putting a video post about support events, buy your tickets, because for a promoter, if you're not buying tickets, they don't know if the event's going to work. Is everyone going to turn up on the day? And actually, you're investing a lot of personal money sometimes in these things, and nobody sees any of that, because they're just in their world thinking, oh, I might go to that event. I think I'll just buy a ticket on the day, or da-da-da. And actually, you don't share the struggle of the process and the journey until usually you've got there. Or you share it in the journey, you're like, oh my God, I'm so stressed, oh, help me, crying all over the place. And I personally, I don't advocate you put that on Facebook or anything like that, but talk to your friends about that stuff. But, so therefore then you see people being successful. And I think, for younger artists and producers now, it must be really hard, because at least when I was doing my first stuff, there was no Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You just did your thing. You sent a fax to book an artist. Do you know what I mean? You wrote an email every now and then. Now you can have, you're sending hundreds of emails every day, like I did yesterday. I've sent about 200 emails for this project yesterday. I mean, you just never would have done that. You'd have to pick up the phone, and I think now there's a lot of pressure, because everyone is presenting their perfect life. This is my perfect life, my perfect business. And so I think the thing I want everybody to know that I've learned is that if you are truly yourself and you truly follow the ideas and the way of doing things that you want, you will create something unique. You will have a lot of hurdles and disasters and failures, because that is the reality of putting, in my world, putting events on and putting creative projects together and applying for funding. You're never going to be successful all the time, but the biggest learning comes from when it doesn't go how you envisage it to. So I would say, trust yourself. Do you remember that from Christmas? Trust yourself.
Trust yourself. Trust yourself.
It's really important. You have to trust yourself, because there's no one else to fall back on. And you have to make smart decisions for yourself. And there's no point in trying to imitate. It's like if you're a dancer and you like somebody's style and you copy their style and you copy their moves and you do that move in a competition or in a show, people will know you've copied because it's blatantly someone else's work. But B, it will never look good on you. It will never look as good as the person that created it, because it is part of them. So, yeah. And I'll show you my mug right now. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it?
She believed she could, so she did. That's a good mug. Yes.
Good mug from Charlie Armour.
Aha. Very good.
Do you?
Do you? Yes. How do you cherish yourself?
Again, this is something I've had to learn to do. Could be a little bit like, I wasn't good enough. Actually, breaking is part of cherishing myself for me. Like, I go to breaking.
Everybody that doesn't know what breaking means.
Like b-boys, some people call it breakdancing, but it's not really called breakdancing. It's called b-boying or breaking. The hip-hop dance, original hip-hop dance, and I love it. And it is such a release to just go and dance to great music. And I sort of do a one-to-one session most weeks and a group class with a guy called Pervez, and I love it, and it is just really good. I also do yoga, which I really, really love. And I'm trying to teach myself to meditate. So I'm trying to do meditation. But, at the moment I'm working back for myself now. So I'm at home. This week I've been at home. I meet every day. I haven't really had any reasons to leave the house.
Mm-hmm.
So I have been getting up, and I went this morning just to walk around the block, just to get out, speak to a random old man on the street. And so I think, taking time, or yesterday I didn't feel great. I didn't feel very well yesterday, and I just thought I really need a nap. And I thought, all right. So I went for a nap, and I set my alarm, but I totally slept through it. So rather than sleeping for half an hour, I slept for 2 hours. But I clearly needed it, and I did much more productive work after I woke up. So, things like that, little things, days when I really don't feel like doing anything, not doing anything. When you work for yourself, you have that luxury. You could choose not to work on a Wednesday because the weather was amazing and you just didn't feel like it, but then you're going to work on Sunday. And there's other times when you're about to launch a new product or an event, or you've got something coming up, and you just have to work all the hours. And so you have to learn, I think, when you work for yourself, to manage yourself and look after yourself.
Yeah, definitely. And it is the little things. It is like taking that moment to have your tea or coffee, but make it a mindful tea or coffee. That 5-minute meditation, the acupressure lie down thing that you've got.
Oh God,
What's
yeah, I
that
haven't been
called?
using that lately. That is quite intense. I don't know what it's called actually. It's an acupressure mat. Oh, well, the slang name is a bed of nails, and you basically lie on quite a painful mat of plastic spikes.
Sounds luxurious.
It's definitely not. It's quite painful, but it really is good for your body. I haven't been doing
Yeah.
it lately because I think it's a bit intense for my body right now, but it is good.
Yeah. And how have you transformed, Kate?
Well, I'm totally so much happier since I realised I could just do things as me. I think when you stop comparing yourself to other people, um, it is a much better thing. Also, I think when you are in a sort of more negative mind space, and let's be honest, we all go there, and we all have
Oh God,
periods
yeah.
of, and I think particularly highly creative people do go through depressions and do have, quite intense periods in their life, and that is part of what enables us to be really creative and have these brilliant ideas and make these magical experiences for people. But as a result, sometimes you just wear yourself out. So I think when you realize that you can you can do it on your own terms, I guess. You
Yeah.
start to not worry so much about things. So you start to like let jobs or relationships go that are just like jarring, and rather than being like hounding it, like, how can I make it work? Please be my friend. Please stay in a relationship with me. Please book me to do a job, or whatever it is. Actually, it's equally fine to just let things go, because you go in cycles, and sometimes those things will come back to you and other times they won't, and that's also fine. And I think that does that's really motivating, actually, to kind of just like be able to let things go. I think it's really important. And what else have I transformed? No, I think
Well,
as
I
a
think
result
that
of
is,
being more relaxed, I'm more successful in a way. Like,
yeah.
I've put in a lot of legwork, and I think, you can't expect to get amazing things if you've not put the work in. And sometimes you happen to be in the right place at the right time, and something happens and it accelerates, and that is amazing. But usually, anybody that is successful has had a very, 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 very long road to getting to that point. I mean, even someone like Gregory Porter, who's a musician that I like absolutely adore, he didn't get famous until he was 40. He didn't pop out of nowhere. He'd sung since a child in like gospel choirs, and he'd been a musician, a singer, but he'd never had his break, if you like. And then at 40, he gets his break, and now he's like at every major festival, major venue in the world, and super successful. But it didn't come out of nowhere. It came out of a really long period of graft. So I suppose, I don't know where I'm going with this. I think I'm waffling.
No, you're not. That
Yeah.
is how you have transformed. and it is the Cherish process first, which is,
Yeah.
why my company is called Cherish Transform Upgrade, is because when we start putting ourselves first, working on ourselves, our feelings, being happier, we start to transform, because we start to, believe in ourselves. And I'll use your terminology, do you start doing you, and
Mm.
it starts working and transforming your life, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I suppose one of the things that I often get people to do in the sofa session stuff when I'm coaching them is looking at, think about a moment in your career, because this is about business stuff for me, so it'll be about your career. Think about a moment in your career where you were so proud, you were like, really, you can't stop smiling when you think about it. Maybe your cheeks hurt from smiling. It's just that moment that you'll never forget. And it doesn't matter if you were the person that was in charge of everything, if you played a tiny part, but that moment that made your heart sing or whatever. And then that thing, whatever it is the thing that you should be doing more of. Because when you're in that place of being like really joyful, you're alive, like everything's working, there's that all the connections, you're using all your best bits, and you're in a place where you are in the best spot for you. That is the bit that you develop. And then if you start to think about all the other bits that you've loved in your career, or all the bits that you haven't loved, well, generally they're not bringing out the best in you. And I think we are sort of, from our education, told that we need to be good at everything, and we don't, and it's fine to be rubbish at maths. I'm rubbish at maths, absolutely terrible. God knows when I have a child, I'm going to have to seriously get maths lessons myself, so I don't.
I'm already stuck. She's only 7.
And you were good at maths.
With a calculator, I can't. Yeah, it's practice though. You just got to get back into it.
I was never into it.
Or not, just hire somebody.
But anyway, my point isn't about maths. What was my point? Because
you don't have to be good at everything.
I'm not good at maths, but I'm really good at budgeting.
Yeah.
Right. And one of my early bosses, a woman called Sue Wyatt, has helped me so much in my career. She was my boss twice in 2 different companies, and she is the person that got me over my fear of maths. And taught me how to budget and work with numbers. And for ages, I used to do Sudoku. Kate Warburton's dad taught me how to do Sudoku. And I used to do Sudoku regularly because it sounds so stupid, but it made me not be frightened of working with numbers. And then I started to, now, I mean, I've managed a budget of £2.9 million. Now it's just, you're just adding extra noughts. Just, you know what I mean? And I think, as you get more confident, as you transform into a more confident person, a lot of things sort of fall into place, really.
Good. And how have you upgraded your life?
That's an interesting question. I might say something a bit which you won't expect now, but I suppose one of the things I upgraded my life in was getting my own place. Right, that is a definite upgrade because I have my own place and I'm really happy here, living here. But to get it, I had to do something I didn't want to do, and I had to go and get a full-time job, and a super stressful full-time job. And yes, I did learn loads and have some amazing experiences, but essentially I had to do what I did not want to do to upgrade my life. And it was the most challenging 2 years ever of my career. So I think, but I did upgrade my life and I got somewhere that I really love. So that's cool. And then I guess leaving the job equally upgraded my life.
Yeah.
Because I put myself first.
That decision you made to go into that job, what was sold to you was a really amazing creative job. So you weren't selling out, but when you kind of got there, it was one of those steps to your dream life.
Yeah.
It was the quickest, easiest way to get this position. And you've been and rejected many job offers. But you accepted this one because it was what you wanted. Now, when you showed up, it wasn't that, but
So,
you got your house and you made it work for you.
yeah, totally. And then
Yeah.
I chose the right time for me to leave, and
Yes.
now, you know, it feels like I think, and maybe this comes from experience. Well, I'm also a very slow learner. And so even in my astrological chart, it's like, yeah, it's going to take you a long time to do anything. And so that is quite reflective of me. So it's taken me a long time to get to a place where I feel, you know, confident and happy in who I am. But I think making the decision to leave was also very much about, you know, transforming and upgrading my life, because I'm quite clear about how I want to work and how I want my working environment to be and the sorts of things I want to spend my time on. And I can spend my time on many things. You know, I'm really good at strategy, I'm really good at fundraising. But for example, with fundraising, I don't want to raise money for other people anymore. In fact, I'm going to only do specific fundraising for my company, and I'm going to employ a fundraiser to work for me, because, you know, if I want to keep enjoying myself and achieving what I want to achieve, I can't do everything on my own, for number one. And number two, I am really good at fundraising, but I'm not a fundraiser. Do you know what I mean? And some people are specialist fundraisers. But I think, you know, for the first time of quitting a job with nothing to go to, which I've already explained is my sort of trait, I didn't panic. I didn't panic.
Yes.
I decided I just wasn't going to work for 2 months. I was going to do a course. I was going to relax, and I wasn't going to worry. And I didn't worry. And I'd never had, because normally I would quit and then I would be sort of fine. And then I'd be like, oh my God, what have I done? And I'd freak out and I'd be,
Yes.
I'd be like all dramatic. And this time I just been like rolling and just like really content and just having lots of big sort of meetings with people that inspire me about ideas. And the funny thing is that I'm getting more inquiry emails through Scanners Inc. that aren't junk trying to sell me fake sunglasses than ever. Really interesting connections coming through. I'm getting interesting replies to my inquiries, like I'm making about venues or, you know, ideas I want to do, and people coming back out on the back of another email saying, oh, by the way, we'd also really love to discuss a collaboration with you. And it feels like it's, you know, it's the right time for me to be in this place. And I think, you know, all the thinking about, you know, the sorts of projects I wanted to be doing and the sort of life I wanted to be living and the people I wanted to collaborate with, you know, it feels like it is the time for some of that to start happening. So I think the risk and the hard work maybe are starting to deliver.
Yes, and you are in a much calmer calmer place, and everything, like you say, the inquiries are flowing in, which is good. Okay, so we've got a few more minutes left. If you want to talk a little bit about like how can people get involved with you, whether it be sofa sessions or, you know, your upcoming events.
Okay. First of all, you can follow me at Scanners Inc. SCANNERSINC. Scanners Inc. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and my website is scannersinc.org. So on that website, you can sign up to our mailing list, and we send inspiring, we like to think, inspiring emails once a week around sort of creative business and what's new, what's coming up. And that will be the best way to sort of stay tuned and find out what's happening. This summer, we are about to release some confirmed events. So in the next couple of weeks, we will be making announcements about the Bridge, which is the 10.5 hour, whatever it is, hip hop culture festival day that we run at the South Bank. And this year we're also running a series of Bridge Plus. So the Bridge Plus is the concept of the Bridge, but with different music and dance genres. So we might do, I don't know, we might do jazz, we might do funk, we might do swing. So stay tuned for that. And then also we have got an announcement around what we're doing with sofa sessions and how we're going to start doing that again. So lots of new stuff happening. And next week, if you have children and families and you're in the London area, this Sunday we have 2 shows of Stardust with House of Absolute at the Polka Theatre. Part of their Techtopia festival all around technology. And then Monday to Friday in half term, we have 3 shows a day that are all free to attend at the V&A Museum, again of Stardust with House of Absolute, which is going to be an interactive music and dance performance, all inspired.
Stardust. Just Stardust. Okay, yeah. Cool.
And it's inspired by the exhibition The Future Starts Here, which has just opened at the V&A, which is I really recommend everyone to go. It's an incredible exhibition around the future and the fact that we are creating the future right now. So it looks at food, fashion, protest, buildings, architecture, the future of cars. There's a really cool sand pit in there that you can kind of play with the sand, and it's got a projection of like mountains and lakes, and then based on how you play with the sand, it creates new landscapes and lakes. It's really super cool.
That sounds amazing. Okay, thank you, Kate.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure to have you on, and we will see you again soon. And do put your links in. I've typed everything in that you were talking about, so just put your link to your Facebook, Instagram, anything else you want to pop in there, go for it.
Brilliant.
Okay,
thanks for having me.
Mwah! Love you.
See you.
Pleasure.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.